It's time for GarageBand Weekly, episode 101. Let's do it.
GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly.
Whoa! Yes, welcome to GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today. My name is Pete Johns. If it's your first time here, this is our weekly show all about GarageBand and GarageBand adjacent topics. I hope you're doing well. We do have Q&A throughout this show, so if you do have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. And if you're watching on the replay, if you can't make it here live, no problem. You can also leave your comments. I respond to every single comment on every single video. It's a labor of love. Don't worry. I love doing it. The show today is brought to you by the GarageBand Beginner's Guide at studiolivetoday.com/courses for just $10. That's 10 Yankee American Freedom Eagles. You can pick up the GarageBand iOS Beginner's Guide, 5 hours of curated content, all of the best bits of this channel to help you get started, and they're all transcribed, 3 different languages. You've even got a help section there where you can ask me a question if you get stuck. Today on the show, we're going to be going through some GarageBand basics, setting up a new track. What do you need to know about doing that? We've got some news and notes as per usual. I'm going to be ranting about a change to YouTube that is rolling out at the moment that I want your opinion on, and a whole lot more coming up here on GarageBand Weekly. Hello to the folks who are here live. Thank you for being here. We will chat to you as we go through the show. And once again, if you have questions, do throw them there in the chat. News and notes time. So, straight off the bat, I wanted to talk about the fact that previously I've been using the Mac Mini as my Mac GarageBand machine. And you may be aware that recently Apple were kind enough to give me a 2-week loan of a MacBook Pro with the M1 Max chip. I've been using it. Not surprisingly, it flies along. It crushes GarageBand. I've been playing around with Logic and even the spatial audio stuff on Logic. It has been going great guns. So this time last week, just after this show last week when I chatted with Dan and Patrick on episode 100, and thank you to Dan and Patrick, by the way, Dan Baker and Patrick from the GarageBand Guide. They were my special guests on episode 100 last week. If you missed it, go back and check it out. Really fun time had by all, at least by all being me. So after that, I thought, well, it's been over 2 weeks now, and I sent an email through to Apple and said, when do you want your laptop back? I don't really want to give it back, but I know it has to go back. And they responded almost immediately and said, we'd actually like you to have an extended loan. So the good news for me, and even for you, is that I now will have the MacBook Pro for the next 12 months, which is super cool because it means I can continue putting it to the test. And I mentioned this on another show that I did last week on the Town Hall show. Does this mean that I'm going to be telling everyone they need to race out and buy like a really expensive MacBook Pro? No. For the vast majority of people creating in GarageBand, you can get away with a 2018, a 2015, a 2013 Mac. Or if you're looking for something brand new, for $699, you can pick yourself up the new Mac Mini M1 base model. And that's all I got. That's all I've been using, and it works beautifully. So you got options. You don't need to go out and spend all the dollars. But I'll be putting this thing to the test. I'll be trying my hardest to break it, to grind it down. So I wonder how many tracks and how many plugins I need to do that. So just a little update for you there, and keep an eye on the channel here because I will continue to tell you my real-world experience. Because it's one thing to have people reviewing products and give you all the specs and all of the numbers and all the theoretical stuff. It's different to see something actually being used by someone, a real user using it in the wild. So it is my daily driver. It is sitting here to my left, and in fact, it's about to have a docking station. Jade Starr, I mentioned this on the other show as well, who's here in the chat, put me onto the company Sabrent, and they're kind enough to be sending me a docking station, a Thunderbolt docking station. So I'll be testing that out in the next couple of weeks as well. So if you're interested in that, watch this space. Logic Pro. So I have been playing around with Logic Pro. I know this is a GarageBand show, but people have been asking me. They're like, Pete, we want to test out Logic Pro. Are you going to test it out too? I have started using it. My initial thoughts are this, that And by the way, Logic Pro, you can do a free trial, a free 90-day trial. There's a video here on the channel. Just search Pete Johns Logic Pro. It'll show you how to do it. Go to the Apple website. If you've never done it before, you get a 90-day free trial of Logic Pro. And I recommend you do that. If you're a GarageBand user and you're on the fence, go and check out Logic Pro. See if it's something that you might be interested in. So for me, I'm right there on the fence. I'm a fence sitter from way back, but what I love about Logic Pro is it has absolute power to do everything. What I don't really love about Logic Pro is it has absolute power to do everything. So for me, I'm a very simple creator. The reason that I love GarageBand on iOS is I love a simple workflow. I love the touch screen. I love the fact that I can just flick on my iPad, hit that big microphone button and start recording. I don't have to really think about anything. Logic Pro is a bit more like using something like Pro Tools or Reaper that I've used in the past, where you have to think a lot more. There's a lot more options, which gives you a lot more flexibility, but it also means sometimes it can get a little overwhelming. So again, I will be continuing to test these things out. I'm your guinea pig. So if there's things you want me to test out, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section here, because I'm more than happy to be the guinea pig. I want to test this stuff out for those that don't have the time, capacity, or care factor to do so. You can see me and see what I do. The third bit of update and user notes here that I have is the GarageBand Mac cover song I was doing of Down Under. I was hoping to have that finished last month, and then a whole bunch of things got in the way. And to be honest, I got a little burnt out on it, and it wasn't sounding the way it was sounding in my head. So I've left it. I've let it simmer. But the good news is I will be back with that later this week. So if you were wondering, whatever happened to that cover you were doing in Mac? You never actually sat down and mixed it and finished it. Well, yeah, that's because I will be doing that later. And then for now and the rest of the year, I will be working on a song that I'm going to try and utilize Logic Pro, because I really need to just bite the bullet and go and check out Logic Pro. The other news that's happening that's not GarageBand specific, but it's related to GarageBand, is that there are some apps that have been on sale. So we are just around the corner from the big Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Novemberween extravaganza, where all of the different companies come out and they give you cheaper versions of the app. So if a lot of you have been sitting around waiting to find out what's going to be on sale, there's a website that I think you need to check out. It is called AppSliced. I know many of you use it and many of you know about it, but if you don't, you can come over to AppSliced, and this is the quickest and easiest way to see what is on sale. And one thing that's on sale right now that I do recommend, I don't use it enough, but it's a great little plugin. It's a great giant plugin, is MixBox CS from RK Multimedia. So that's on sale at the moment. That's down from $40 to $30. So if you've been on the fence about that one, you can save yourself 25% off. And you can jump in here and you can set up different alerts, so you can see what's actually been dropped in price. You can categorize it by the different types of apps. So you can go in here to category, and I think there's one called music. That's games. We want all genres. I think there is one that is music. There it is, music, and go. So you can see all of the different things. So here you go. You got like these synth plugins. The MIDI Strummer is on sale at the moment, which is a great little app there from three pockets. I reduced the number of pockets. Is that a 4 pockets app? I can't even remember now. Anyway, it's good. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can check out there. So if you've ever wanted a one-stop shop for all of the places where you can find out what is on sale and what you may want to check out, and if there's one particular app that you have in your wish list, you can literally add an alert there. And then when the price drops, they'll let you know about it, and you can jump over and check it out. But yeah, MixBox CS from RK Multimedia, highly recommend it. If you want like one app to rule them all, that's going to have all of your stuff. It's basically a whole channel strip. It's a whole guitar effects rack. It's a whole compressor. Got things like the LA2A compressor. Like there's a bunch of stuff on there. Limiters. We'll show you it a little bit later, because I'm going to use it in one of my demonstrations here as well. So there's your news and notes. You're caught up. We'll move into our rant in just a moment. But let's just say good day to the folks who are here live. We have the Metalhead Hippie. Boom to you, my friend. I hope you are doing well. Gregory O'Sullivan is here. Jam whenever. I love it. Jam whenever. Just keep jamming. Mark Bro, hello to you. Different styles. G'day to you. Goodell Raphael. I'm sorry I butchered that one. We have Doctor's Orders is here. There you go. Mark Bro says transferring what's in my head to GarageBand is a damn pain sometimes. Exactly. Sometimes you just do a song and it doesn't quite work out with what's in your head. Exactly. Gregory Sullivan says, just because software can do everything doesn't mean you have to use all of it. And that's exactly right. So that's the way I'm going to go into Logic, is that I'm going softly. And one of the first things that I'm doing in Logic is bringing over a song that I've already got, just the stems, and playing around with that. I've been doing that over on the Patreon page in a couple of live streams. So that's the sort of thing I'll be bringing here. There's Mark Pro again. Yeah, so Thomas Christ, there's the Logic Pro trial. All you need to do is go to apple.com/Logic Pro/trial and sign up for the 90-day free trial. Hello, some other folks. Patrick Chandler is here. We've got American Noir, Colin Stanton. G'day to you. Anyone that I have missed. Thank you, American Noir. Appreciate that one. Nearly snuck through to the keeper, that one, but appreciate you. Thank you for the kind donation to the channel. It does, and for everyone that was on the Happy Hour show yesterday, thank you all for all of your kind donations. It was very, very cool. You get comfortable with the door. Reaper, Reason are good too. Yeah, exactly. Whatever you do, whatever you use, I've always said this. People think that I'm going to get on this tirade about GarageBand because I'm a GarageBand user and say, hey, you should never use anything else. GarageBand's good enough for everyone. No, GarageBand is a good workflow for a lot of people. It's as simple as that. It's like when people get all up in arms about whether you should use Mac or PC. Mac is better for some people, PC is better for others. Some people like me use a PC for 35 years, well, 30 years, and then we swap to a Mac because a Mac suddenly aligns with our workflow better. I used to play games and do things that a PC need. These days I do music and video and live streaming. I've moved from the PC world to the Mac world. It's fine. Use what works for you, but don't use what you don't have as an excuse to not create, and don't spend an ounce of energy, every little kilojoule of energy you spend caring about what other people are doing, apart from trying to help them find their workflow, that's cool. But any ounce of energy you spend trying to tell other people what they should and shouldn't do is energy being taken away from your own creations, and it will damage you and it'll make you look like a dick. Nobody wants either of those things. Let's move on, shall we? Rant of the week, while I'm getting ranty. So the rant of the week is related to a move from YouTube, and I want your view on this one. So feel free to leave a comment if you're watching on the replay, or let me know your thoughts right here and right now. Here's the thing. YouTube are rolling out. Now, I haven't had it yet. I can still see the dislikes on all the videos, and I don't know whether that means they've kind of paused the rollout due to the backlash on this one, but here's the 411. YouTube are removing dislikes. Now, wait, they're not removing them completely. You can still dislike a video. So if you hit the dislike button right now, go on. I don't dare you to. Feel free to, though. If you don't like it, that's fine. But if you hit the dislike button, you won't see the total number in some parts of the world. It's being rolled out slowly. Here, at least for me, I can still see it. And the weird thing is, though, YouTube have come out and done this, and they've said that they're doing this for a few reasons, but the main reason is that they want, especially small creators, not to be discouraged by the fact that they get dislikes on their videos. Now, the weird thing about that is that there is already an option for you to remove the ability for everyone to see the like and the dislikes. Like you would have seen that on video. It says likes and dislikes disabled on this video. The same with comments. You can you can disable comments on any video that you release. So if you're releasing you've got your GarageBand creation and you want to put it out there, but maybe you're feeling a little bit apprehensive and you don't want to see the likes and dislikes, you can turn that off. And the same with the comments. You can turn off commenting entirely and just put it out there into the world and not get any feedback. But YouTube have said through this update that they don't want anyone publicly to be able to see the amount of dislikes on a video. And we're doing it for creator mental health. Now, for me, the worst thing for a creator is for them to be able to see it and no one else, because then it's like the creator's the only one that can see their dislikes and the general public can't. I don't see how that's better. Maybe it's just because I don't really care about public shaming or public perception and that sort of thing. Maybe doing this stuff for 6 years has made my skin just a little too thick. And I'm like, why would anyone care? I don't care if I have a video that has 100 likes and 10 dislikes, or I suppose if I had 10 likes and 100 dislikes, I'd be a little worried, but I'm probably doing something significantly wrong if that's the case. But I actually like the dislikes. And here's the reason why. When I'm looking for tutorials, the first place I look is the like to dislike ratio. You would have done this too. If you think you're like, oh, this looks too good to be true. Say someone's got a tutorial that's like the best free plugin for GarageBand ever. And then you look at it and you see that there's 100 likes, but 1,200 dislikes. Well, you pretty much can tell that this might be a bit of a dodgy one. You have to sort of approach it with caution. And on the flip side, if you see one that's like got almost all likes, well, yeah, you're pretty comfortable to say, oh, everyone must think that this works. Everyone must think that this is a good video and a good tutorial. Maybe I'll give it a watch. So I think it gives you that sort of vote of confidence for tutorial content, and I don't really see the significant downside of it. And the other side of it is, if this was a thing, why not just go the Instagram route and remove it, or the Facebook route and not have dislikes at all? Isn't that a better solution to all of this? To say, if it really is about mental health and it really is about creators and public shaming and these dislike campaigns that people go on with channels just to make them feel bad and bring them down, then just remove it. Just have like and nothing else. And that way all you can look at is the views to like ratio. So that's what I have to do now. Once this happens, I'll be looking at the views to likes ratio, knowing that while people can't dislike, they certainly won't like something if they don't like it. So if it's had 10,000 views and only 4 likes, well, it's the equivalent of it having a bad dislike ratio. I don't know. I'm interested. What do you think? Because it's a controversial one. It's got a lot of backlash around the world from a lot of different creators. So yeah, let me know if you have thoughts on this. Do you not care at all? Maybe it's only a thing that creators are worrying about, and maybe the general public like, dislike, whatever. I don't mind. Just do your thing. So yeah, I thought, even though that's not GarageBand related, I wanted to jump in and have a bit of a wee rant about it here today. Right, let's move on, shall we? Let's get on to our feature topic of the week. And what I thought I would show you today is, how do you set up a GarageBand project in iOS from scratch, and what settings should you set up before you even hit record and start that first track? So let's dive in here to GarageBand on my iPad, and the exact same process for the iPhone if you were doing that. So the first thing you'll notice here is I have this ideas folder. So I recommend, first of all, when you're creating a track, use the iCloud Drive. So you've got 2 locations that you can start a project here. You've got on my iPad and you've got iCloud Drive. iCloud Drive means that it will back up your project to the cloud, and it means that if you're using it on your iPhone and your iPad, you can interchange between the 2 of them and it will keep it updated. It also means that if something goes wrong and you delete stuff and your phone goes for a swim in the toilet, well, then you can recover your files because they're backed up to the cloud. So use iCloud Drive, go to GarageBand for iOS. That's tip 1. Then set up some folders here. So to set up folders, you can right click if you've got a mouse here, or you can come up to the top here and hit the plus. Whoop, no, that's not the right button. You can't do that. You can slide down here and hit the plus button up the top here and actually create new folders here. So I recommend within your GarageBand for iOS folders, just creating like new ideas, create yourself a folder, set up a folder structure, and it just means you can keep things a bit neater. You'll see here I've got in progress, I've got ideas, I've got my completed files, I've got a folder for collaborations. However you want to set things up is what you want to do. So what I'll do is I'll use this new ideas folder and then hit the create song button. Now, before you start recording, here's my tips when setting up a new project in GarageBand iOS. Go into your audio recorder track to start with. Just set up, even if you're not using one, set up an audio recorder track, hit the button here, and here's what I always do. I just hit the record button and I let it record a bar of nothing. Why? Why bar of nothing, Pete? Because as soon as you've recorded something in GarageBand, you can save it. And the thing you want to do here is save your project straight away. This is going to help you avoid those my song 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 to 12 issues that we all have. So if you do that and then come back to your screen here, the first thing I'll do is tap right there on the name and call it whatever I'm calling it. So even if you don't know, just say new project idea with synths. I don't know. Whatever you're doing it. Doesn't have to have a real name, but at least give it some sort of name so you know what you're creating. So I'm going to tap on this one and load it back up. Let's look at the options that I will now set up for a new project. First thing I want to do here. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. If you already know all the different sections that you're going to create, you can come in here to your song sections, tap here, and create. So you can add in additional sections here. And you can see as we add them, it's adding 8-bar sections each time. Now, a lot of people don't like to do that because you don't know what your song's going to be like. If you're just sort of brainstorming, you can always add your sections in later. So don't worry about that. And there's videos all about sections and how to use sections here on the channel. So type Pete John's song sections and there's a heap of videos that will help you there. But the easiest way when you're setting up to start with is I'd find turning off automatic and just giving myself as many bars as I think I'll need. So you can tap either up or down, or you can tap and hold and drag. There's a tip for young players. If you didn't know that, in a lot of these ones, wherever you see these little buttons, you can actually tap and hold and drag up and down, and you can get quickly up to say 200 bars. So we'll bring this one up here, we'll go 200 bars, and then when we come out of here, check it out. We've got 200 bars of fresh, beautiful landscaped placeholders for me to actually put things in here. Next up, I generally want to work out my tempo. And you can change this over time. Obviously, once you start recording real live instruments, you want your tempo to be set. But let's go with the tempo. So let's say I was doing I'm doing a funky groove here. I'm going to tap my tempo there. And let's just tap in a tempo. We're going something funky. It's going to be 84. So 84 BPM. So that's our tempo there. The other thing we want is our time signature. Now, GarageBand's a bit limited. You've got 4/4, 3/4, 6/8. The vast majority of the time, you're probably going to be in 4/4. If you're in some sort of waltz beat, you're going to use 3/4 or 6/8. If you're in something like 5/4 or 7/4, you can't support it here directly, but there are ways to do that. And again, more videos here. If you search Pete John's time signature on your YouTube search engines, you're going to find how you can actually use multiple time signatures and more custom time signatures. It's just a bit of a hack. So we're going to go 4/4 for this one. And the other thing we want to do is set the key signature here. Now, I happen to be a big fan of G major. So most of the time I'll come here and go G major just because I like the chords G, C, and D. It's a guitarist thing, G, C, and D. The other thing is follow song key. I'll leave that on in case I want to change the key at any time. It means that all of my rest of my instruments are going to actually change things. They're going to change along with the key. So that's me set up there. The next thing I tend to do is create some sort of beat. Now, depending on the type of beat that I'm creating here, on the type of song, is I'll either use the drummer or the beat sequencer. So most of the time I'll come here, I'll grab the drummer and I'll find the sort of drum groove that I want. So if I want something funky, let's tap on more drummers here. We're going to go with maybe the electronic, and maybe we go with, who's going to do our thing here? Maybe Maurice, or maybe we'll go with Anton. I don't use Anton for, oh no, modern 80s. Let's go with the Maya, some modern 80s style. We'll do a bit of an 80s style track here. So if we hit play, there you go. That's kind of cool. And the reason I add that so early is I hate the metronome. Like, I can't groove to that metronome. Like, listen to the difference between creating a song if we mute out this drummer and we're just listening with the metronome. Right? Yeah. That's nothing. But let's bring in Maya, turn off that metronome here, and now, right? So that just lays down our basis. Now we don't need this anymore, so we can delete this out. And I recommend doing this deleting as you go. And then, of course, to make sure that all of these settings are saved in so that we've got our time signature, our key signature, everything all saved in here, what I want to do is finally hit this button in the top left. Before you go and start creating, hit this button here. That's going to save your project, and there you go. You're ready to go. Now, the one final bonus tip that I'll give you here is as you're progressing, so if you open this up, as you start layering in and adding your synths and your keyboards and your vocals and your guitars, use some version control. Now, GarageBand doesn't have very good built-in version control, so here's how I work with this. Tap and hold on your project and hit the duplicate button. And what you'll notice there is that it gives you an exact copy of that first one, but with the number 2 after it. That way, this one is your placeholder for the first one, and then you start working on this number 2. Once you reach a crucial point of your project where you may want to make some significant changes, then do the same thing. Tap and hold, hit the duplicate button, and you've got number 3. I normally have up to 10, 15. I think in my Songtember song, I had 20 plus different versions of this. In fact, we can see if we come back out here and we go to my recent Songtember track, yeah, look at this. My song Work in Progress, we got up to version 20 before we did the final mix and master. But it means that I can go back and not only see the progress that I've made, but if I make a complete mess up, like I just did then in this video, then you can actually go back and change it. So use your version control and you'll be good to go. So there you go, setting up your new project use this and you'll find that instead of having all these little ideas that you don't know what they are, instead of having problems where you work on a project for an hour and it doesn't save, and instead of having things where you're sort of making up as you go along, spend that 2 minutes, set up your project like this, and you'll be good to go. I hope you found that useful. I agree, Gregory O'Sullivan. Metronomes do drive me insane. And it doesn't matter what different metronome sound you use, they're all completely crap. You can come in here and change your metronome sound. If you go to the... where is the tempo? Metronome accounting. So you can change it. You can have the wood block, which is the one we have here at the moment. Yay. Or you can have the wonderful hi-hat. A rim shot. A click, which is kind of the old school one, and for whatever reason, no sound. Why you would have a metronome with no sound on it, I don't know. And you can adjust the level of your metronome down here as well. There we go. Make a hip-hop beat. There's people that can make hip-hop beats a lot better than I can. But maybe we'll return to that one and play around with that a little bit later as well. Do a little bit of an 80s style tune. We've had a few comments come through about the likes and the dislikes, so I'll just come back and get there. They chickened out of getting rid of it. Some people saying they only did it because the YouTube rewind got so many dislikes. Yeah, so, and I probably didn't talk about that. Why they, if you wanted to, you put your tinfoil hat on, which I don't usually like to do, but here's the thing. YouTube make money from advertising, and YouTube only make money from advertising if people watch videos. If the more videos that have lots of dislikes that people are no longer watching, the less advertising revenue YouTube will make. So if by removing the public visibility of dislikes and meaning that people like me might click on a tutorial that they otherwise wouldn't have and watch 10 minutes before they move on to another video, maybe that's an extra ad or two that I watch. Is that the case? I don't know. I don't think so, but hey, sometimes it's fun to speculate. Sometimes it's super dangerous to speculate. There you go. Let's go. Yeah, Mark Bro says you can still dislike. The count is just not public. You can still know what works with your video, but viewers won't be discouraged from watching a vid by hate. And look, that's the thing. I don't even think deeply enough to realize that there's these hate campaigns. I can't think of why a human would have enough energy to hate something so much that they would gather all their friends around and like set burning torches and run them out of YouTube town. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But hey, I also am not. I'm not young, so maybe it's a young person's game where there's all this hate and shade and flexing and all this stuff that I don't understand. Yes, the beat sequencer is very, very cool. I got a bunch of hate for a song because I commented on this news channel. I like it, royalties and streams. DistroKid, get my 40 cents a month. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It does happen. It does happen. Let's just go down. I'll see if we've got any other questions. Remember, if you do, hello R times 2, if you do have questions, you can just throw the word question in front of your question, and I'll definitely try to answer as many as I can. Jalen Lay says, I appreciate the fact that you've been able to see dislikes because then I would know if I need to improve on the way I produce content. I would only become concerned if I received founded hate. Or unfounded hate, yeah. So, same thing. Like, I've never had a problem. Like, when I say I never had a problem, yeah, it always, like, whenever you get your video and you get like 10 likes and then 1 dislike, you're like, what did I do? Why did that person not like me? Or the weirdest one is sometimes I'll do a live stream like this one and there'll be dislikes on there before I've even pressed go live. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a little bit harsh. That you're saying I dislike you so much that nothing you possibly do or say can please me. That's a prejudgment that I think is just hateful and unnecessary. So, hello to anyone who has hated this video or disliked this video before I even started. I hope you get better, and I hope you find ways to spend your time more fruitfully in the future. You do you, sunshine. Hello to Sion. Thanks for dropping on by. Yeah, adjust it. Exactly. I know. You can adjust the volume of a no sound metronome. Isn't that nuts, Mark? You can come in here and you can be like, I'm going to put my metronome onto no sound. What volume should I put my no sound on? Oh, it's still playing too. I didn't realize it's still playing in the background. That's pretty weird. We'll just see if we've got anyone. Apparently YouTube is removing the dislike thing from the API as well, unless a developer gets an exemption if they are making an app using it. Yeah, which means that things like, so the API means like the, what is it, application protocol interface, so something like that. coders will tell me. So things like TubeBuddy and anything that uses the API to tap into YouTube may not be able to get access to that. And that could be annoying for people that use vidIQ or TubeBuddy. If that goes away, then we won't be able to track things like likes and dislikes on our own videos outside of the YouTube algorithm, YouTube interface, which would be painful. I would not like that. Yeah, exactly. I know. Hate requires so much negativity. Why would you create a campaign for it? I know. And imagine all these people. Imagine all the people that. Imagine how much extra goodness they could be putting in the world if they just channeled all of that energy. Because you've only got a limited amount of energy, right? I mean, without getting all like, new age on everybody and all woo woo, but you've only got a certain amount of energy to expend. And imagine if all the negative energy that people expend being hateful to people that are just doing their thing, that are not impacting you in any way, and they just channeled that into their own creativity and creating good things and helping others and community. It would be phenomenal, even if we could harness 10% of that. So again, that's why I try to put this out to the community, because maybe there's one person that me having that rant just went, oh, I was about to go on a big hate campaign, but you're right. Maybe I'll just go and make an epic fire beat instead, and then put it on YML and say, play my fire beat, bro. Question for Asa. Okay. A question for Asa. If I missed it for Asa, sorry about that. Is MixBox compatible for viewing impaired users? I'm not sure, to be honest. I would have to check in with IK Multimedia. It does have a kind of, we'll show it in a minute. It does have a kind of fiddly interface, Asa. So I don't know. It's an AUV3 plugin. But that being said, you should be able to navigate through with VoiceOver. I'll endeavor to try it. I'm terrible with VoiceOver. Every time I turn it on, I get so confused. So, but I'll endeavor to try it, or maybe someone in the community actually knows that. Maybe someone knows about it. Metalhead Hippie, hello. Yeah, I get haters before the show even starts. Funny stuff makes me chuckle. Yeah, and look, it could be something. It could be that I ignored someone's question on the last live stream, and they've been penned up. They've been waiting for a week to come back and hate on my next video. They're like, I'll show him. I'll come back and dislike his next video because he didn't answer my question. And usually I'm not answering questions because I miss them. Like, I'm human. Despite the fact that I sometimes say I'm a machine and that my programming needs to be adjusted, then I am actually human. Application programming interface. There you go. All right. Which is better, the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 13 Pro? iPhone 13 Pro. It's better, but it's more expensive. So it depends. It's like, what's better, a MacBook or a MacBook Pro? Depends on your budget. Depends if you're looking at value or if you're just looking at performance. Pure performance, anything with a Pro after it is probably going to be better. If you're talking about value, to be honest, I probably wouldn't go the Pro unless you need it. I say this about, same with the MacBook Pro. I say this about anything that's Pro. If you need something, if something has the word Pro at the end of it, you'll know if you need it, because you will be a pro user that needs the features of a pro. So if you're a pro photographer or videographer, you'll get the iPhone 13 Pro because it's got the slightly better camera and the processing and all that business. If you don't, you won't, and you won't need it. So for the vast majority of people out there, you won't need the extra power, but for those that need it, they will. But don't get it just because it's shiny and just because it has 3 cameras on it that you'll probably never use. Don't get it. So for instance, I've got the 12 Pro here. I only got the 12 Pro because I do a lot of mobile videoing. So I wanted the extra camera and I wanted the extra storage and I wanted the extra processing power for what I do on the go, because I edit video, I create music, I do all sorts of things on my phone while I walk around the place. So I wanted that. But is there anything in the iPhone 13 Pro that's going to make me upgrade from the 12 Pro anytime soon? No. So I'm standing in blackjack terms. I'm staying pat on the iPhone 12 Pro for now. Companies like that probably don't understand it's why only the Apple plugins that work with VoiceOver. Yeah, I think it comes down to, I've talked about this before, but it comes down to a lot of companies go with a couple of things. So the minimum viable product model is what's causing a lot of the problems with accessibility. Without going on a giant rant here, is that companies are pushing things out and they're using agile methodology and they're using sprints and they're getting things out as minimum viable products and then developing them in an iterative way, rather than doing all their research, getting everything ready, and then doing a big launch. So that means that sometimes things are not thought about at the start. The other thing is that a lot of companies are working on things for the 90%, not the 10%. And this, for us as creators, this is why the progression of iPhones is so frustrating, because we would love 2 ports on our iPhones. We would love USB-C on our iPhones. We would love the ability to have a headphone jack on our iPhones because we're creators and all those things would be useful. Instead, Apple are going the other way, where they're going with less ports. The rumor is that the iPhone 14, at least one of the versions, will be port-free, meaning you can only charge it via their little magnetic dongly doodly or by a Qi charger with wireless. So that sort of thing is annoying, because when you're part of the 10%, which if you're in an accessibility group or if you're a creator, you generally are, you're in the minority, products and applications and things are being developed for the majority. And from a business sense, you can understand it, because businesses are pretty tight at the moment. Even the ones that are doing well through the last 2 years, they're not in a position where they can create niche products. Here's the thing though, the companies that are going to come out there and start creating those niche products, they can come in and grab that. So LumaFusion is a great example of that. Back about 5 years ago, people were saying no one's going to edit video. No one's going to edit 4K video on their phone or their tablet. You need a Mac Pro, or you need a beefy PC with 32 gigs of RAM to edit 4K video. And LumaFusion went, no, I reckon we could do this a bit better. So they actually found that niche, which was high-end creators that wanted to create really good video on their mobile device. And they went, let's create that app. So the 90% don't care about LumaFusion. They don't know about LumaFusion. They couldn't give anything about LumaFusion. But the 10% that do want it, they are all over it. So LumaFusion have found a way to do that. And I think there's an opportunity there. There's a window there for especially for the accessibility community, especially the vision impaired community. There's a heap of you. There's a lot of folks that are vision impaired that use iOS devices and use them to create music. It's a growing market. If there's a smart developer out there, they will niche down and they will create a range of custom AU plugins that are not only just accessible, but optimized for accessibility. I'm not someone who can do it, but hey, if there's a developer out there that's interested, that wants to talk to me, again, I've got a connection into a lot of the vision impaired community. So hopefully we can actually see some improvement there. There you go. Acer says special accessibility directed software is usually quite expensive. Yeah, there is a Braille music sheet maker that costs $1,200. Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. Unfortunately, those niches, sometimes the niche, because your market is lower, it's a whole supply-demand thing, isn't it? If the demand is lower and you're supplying a product, you've got to sell it for a higher price because you're selling less units. Whereas if you're mass-producing something for 90%, you can sell it cheaper, you sell more units, you make up in volume. That was a bit of an off-the-cuff rant, but yeah, it is a topic that's worth discussing because I don't think it's talked about enough. Rightio, let's go into plugins and apps of the week, and we're going to do a double header, in fact, here, because I wanted to show a couple of things here. So I showed this last week. There's a dedicated video all about it. Let's add in a loop here to this one just to make it a little bit funky. We wanted some, I went funk last time. We used that slap bass last time. Let's go the disco funk guitar riff into here. Let's bring this one in here and... That's a bit of a weird riff, isn't it? Let's go something a bit different. We got the... Oh, what about the chords? Oh no, I really don't like those one. I went use the down with it. That's a bit overplayed. Yeah, let's go the electric funk guitar. Bring this one in here, and we'll mute that one out. So we got a little bit of a bit of a groove going on here. That sits in the pocket nicely, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll go with that. Can we add a bass? Let's just add some bass here. What do we got? Funk. Oh, I'm using the wrong keyboard. Funky bass. We'll go, what's this one? This could work with a synth bass. We'll just turn it down a bit. How's this? I like it. I like it a lot. Cheers, Hippie. Go catch the Metalhead Hippie show later today. If you're a GarageBand creator and you're creating cool tunes and you want to get them shared somewhere, go hit up the Metalhead Hippie. Go follow that man right there. He's got a show kicking off in, about 3.5 hours. So once you're done here, if you've got some more energy, go and check out the Metalhead head hippie, you will not be disappointed. And you can probably go to bed and wake up and it'll still be going, because he does 6-7 hour live streams playing some of the coolest indie music going around. Not just metal either. Don't let the name fool you. All right, let's dive in here. So you may be aware that Apple have a whole bunch of plugins here within GarageBand. So if we grab, let's just go to this guitar. This one's going to be the coolest one to try it out on. There you go. So if we go to the edit button here, we can actually add a plugin. So we've got all these. You've got Bit Crusher, Chorus, Distortion, Flanger, Microphaser, Overdrive, Track Echo, Track Reverb, Tremolo, and Vocal Transformer. There's 10 free plugins that come as stock with GarageBand. They're all really good, actually. They're all really high quality. Don't disparage them. Don't go, oh, I'm not going to try them. They're going to be crap because they're the built-in ones. No, they're pretty cool. Like, even if you just want a little bit of echo on there, listen to this. Cool, right? And you can obviously change the repeat down there. You can make it a faster repeat. You can do a whole bunch of cool things. But we also have free, courtesy of Apple, a whole bunch of additional AUV3 plugins. And again, I showed these really briefly last week and in a video, but in case you haven't seen them, like these are all the plugins that I've bought and that I've downloaded over time. So these are all the different, the FAC plugins, all the different stuff from Clevgrand, from Nembrini. We've got a bunch of cool stuff there. But if you scroll right to the bottom here, check these ones out. Now, these used to be a little orange logo, and they were honestly not very useful because they had terrible interfaces. They were kind of glitchy, and they didn't really work that well. Now, they are pretty sweet. So if we wanted to use some of these, so we wanted to use a high shelf filter, we can put a high shelf filter on here and check this out. We've now got this nice interface. So we wanted to add a little bit of a nice treble shelf to this guitar. We can do this. And it's a very nice interface there, because the interface used to be, if we click on this little button here, it used to look like this. So you weren't really seeing, you could do exactly the same thing, but you weren't really seeing what you were doing. You're saying, oh, okay, I'm going to get 15,500 hertz, and I'm going to bump it 5.5 dB. Whereas now you've got the nice visualization here. You can see exactly what's going on there. So hit done on that one. And there's a whole bunch of others in there as well. So you can edit, you can layer up, you can put a bunch of plugins on here and have a lot of fun with these. So that's cool, and you can play around with all of those. And we'll grab this one. So the band EQ, this one's got slightly different sort of thing here, but you've got a whole bunch of different EQs that you can put on here. There's a bunch of cool things in there. So go ahead and play with them. And you can, if you've used the Mac version, you'll know that these are actually basically based on the Mac versions of these plugins. So there's a heap in there to play with. And there's even a plugin in here, if we come in, that wasn't in the original one, which is this pitch plugin. So there was the new pitch plugin, but we've also got the other one, which is the AU pitch plugin. Now, I haven't played with this yet. If anyone out there has played with it and has worked out exactly all the cool things you can do with it, it sadly hasn't had an update, so we can't actually do anything with it here. And we've got some presets in here, and there's actually 2 screens worth of information that you can slide between here. So there's a lot of stuff in here. So I was hoping that this would get the update, but what I need to do is basically go into the GarageBand Mac version, find out what all these do, and see, is this something that's actually going to be cool for us? Because pitch changing in GarageBand is something I get asked about an awful lot. So maybe that will be something we can look at in the future. The other thing is that you might think, well, why do we need additional like reverbs and delays? Well, they've got different options. So if you go to this Reverb 2 plugin and come in here, we can actually change a bunch of this. So you've got a dry, wet mix knob there. You can adjust your gain. You've got your minimum and maximum delay time that you can set in here. You've got low frequency decay times, high frequency decay times, and you've also got these presets. So these are kind of fun to play with. If you want to go, what would this sound like with a bit of a plate reverb sound? It'll set in all your stuff there. And then if we hit play, hear that plate kind of sound? Just gives you the ability to do this. Now, I wouldn't use something like that. I'd go with more of like a medium room kind of sound here, something like this. See, how cool is that? You can dial up the dry wet, and you can get it really sounding like with that reverb. It's kind of like you're in a hallway down the road, down the hall from the room. So if you listen again, pretty cool, yeah. Nice. And you can play around with all the different things. So if you wanted this to be a larger room, we can do that. You got all the options. Nice. So that is a cool thing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about here today, let's just save out of that one. So we'll save that into our idea here. I'm just going to delete these before we move on, because I don't want those in there. I'll get confused. I won't know what's going on. So the other one, I'll jump over here and we'll go to this in progress folder, because I forgot that I had this, but I actually have this track that I was working on, which is a song that was kind of half done. And if you want to know a little bit about MixBox, so MixBox CS, I mentioned it at the start. It's on sale at the moment. It's $29.99 as opposed to $39.99, and it is a very, very cool plugin. It's hard to explain. It's a channel strip, it's a rack, it's an effects unit, it's a guitar pedals, it's everything. It's like IK Multimedia took a dash of everything that they use and put it all into one plugin. And it's kind of as cool as it sounds. But let's give you a quick run through of this one. So I've got this track here that I've been working on. I'm just going to turn it down because I remember it being quite loud. So this is a track, I can't remember the name of it. Let's just play it.
Don't do things just cause other people do them, you might get caught if...
Yeah, it was a song called Sheeple that I was working on. So this will give you a bit of an idea, because, and if you want to see the full video of this, by the way, just search Pete John's MixBox Live. I did a whole 1 hour show. We had the folks from IK Multimedia in there answering questions. It was very cool. In fact, maybe we need to do that again. Do we need to do another MixBox Live? Let me know. If you're here live, let me know, or leave a comment down below, because I'll be more than happy to do another sort of hour-long MixBox session where we just create a track and see if we can use MixBox on a lot of the different tracks there. So if we solo this track, this guitar track, this is kind of the main piece in this one, and we go to our plugins and EQ, you'll notice that we've got a couple of things going on here. We have the noise gate here, so we've got the Nembrini analog rack noise gate, and we've got LRC5 to do some EQing, but the star of the show is this MixBox. So what we'll do, let's just take everything off. This was my raw guitar that we recorded in here. Right? Kind of wussy. Not really doing much for you, right? So the first thing we did there is we went into MixBox, and here's the cool thing. MixBox is not just one plugin. It's like a plugin with a bunch of plugins in it. So if we tap on here, this is the interface we get. Now here in the iPad, you'll want to tap this bottom right button to expand it out. And check this out. What we've put on here is a saturator. We've put the Modern Tube Lead plugin here. We've got a channel strip so that we can actually adjust some of our different frequencies. And we've got a digital delay. And we could use this exactly like you would use like a Euro rack or a rack mount. It's just the other way around. So instead, just for the interface, instead of having your rack going sideways, you've got it going up and down. And it's very, very cool. So if we turn all of these off to start with, let's bring them on and you'll hear what each of these do. So here's the raw sound. We'll go to where it's actually playing. Let's put the saturator on. You get that nice saturated sound, that tape saturation on there. Let's bring on the tube lead. Yeah. Clean it up with a bit of EQ. Yeah. Add some delay. Really cool. And we've got the ability to add in a whole bunch of different plugins here. You've got 4, I think you've actually got 8 slots that we can use, don't we? Oh yeah, look, I didn't even realize that we've got this one. The ensemble is on here as well. We've still got 3 slots here. So if we wanted to keep building this, let's just go a bit nuts here. We can tap there, and this is where I think, who was it, Ace that was asking before about accessibility. I'm not sure because of the way the interface works, you've got 8 different channels here, and they've all got the ability to select the plugin, to turn it off and on, and then they've got a bunch of custom controls in each. And I don't think it's been designed with accessibility in mind, unfortunately. So apologies for that. Hopefully, again, like I say, hopefully some plugin developers out there listening, and they're going to create something cool. So if we come in here, we can add a whole bunch of things. You've got amps, so we've got vintage amps, we've got jazz amps, we've got basically all your different amp sounds that IK Multimedia are kind of famous for. You've got channel strips, so you've got EQs, you've got full channel strips in there. You've got a bunch of digital and tape echo delays. You've got a bunch of distortions there, overdrive and screamers and things like that. You've got dynamics, so you've got like a 1176 compressor. So if you wanted to have like a 1176 emulation on here, a nice sort of old school analog compressor, you can add something like that. You've got a bunch of other things that you can put in there. You've got EQ. You've got a whole bunch of vintage EQ modeling. You got filters out the wazoo, all the different sort of low frequency oscillators and formant filters and a bunch of stuff. Modulation, you got a heap in there in terms of effects. You got your phasers and your pans and your choruses and your flanges and all the different cool stuff. Let's throw a flanger on here, shall we? Because there's not enough going on with this one. We'll dial the wetness down here a little bit, but let's throw a flanger on this track. Right. Who doesn't love a good flange? And look, there's even things like sync button here, so you can sync it. You can sync it to the rate of the track, like the actual the track. That's cool. So you got all your modulation. You got reverb out the wazoo again. You got spring reverbs. Let's chuck a little spring reverb on here, shall we? And I love the interface. It looks really cool here with your little interfaces. Like these knobs are ultimately twiddleable. So if we take a listen to this. And yeah, they're all high quality effects. You can go a little bit nuts like I have done here. Really more just to show you what you can do. And then, yeah, your saturation that we've already used there. So let's just put like a phonograph, like an old school saturation. This is actually cool. This one you can use. Let's just turn everything else off just so that you can hear this one, the phonograph saturation plugin. Because this, as opposed to tape saturation, kind of creates like a, what is it, like a record player saturation. So we've got crackle, we've got age, and we've got distortion. So if we dial everything down, you can listen to what all these do. So let's play it here. Let's turn the crackle up. Right? A little bit of age. Kind of softens the tone there. Distortion. How cool is that? So yeah, that'd be really cool for those creating sort of lo-fi kind of sounds. In fact, let's come down here to my my vocals, and we'll play with these.
Might get caught in a terrible problem. You need to think about the whole big picture. Oh yeah.
So I've already got a bunch of stuff on here from when we last played around with things, but I've used everything, haven't I? But let's again add some saturation. You could go with that phonograph and just sort of add some old school crackle to this. Like,
need to think about the whole big picture. Oh yeah, let the other sheeple by.
I mean, it's not going to work for everything, but if you were doing some sort of lo-fi beat where it's like raindrops and you wanted that effect in there, it's pretty cool. So you can see that, like, again, you make your own choice, but for $30, you're getting a lot here. Like, considering that you might pay $5 or $10 just for a tape saturation, or just for a vinyl effect, or just for a really cool EQ plugin, or just for a compressor, or just for a limiter. Yeah, especially if you're starting out and you're like, what do I get? I'm so overwhelmed with all these plugins. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is it will use quite a bit in the way of resources. So if you've got an older iPhone or iPad, it is going to take up some resources. It's also kind of fiddly if you're using an iPad mini or something smaller. You're going to find the dials are not going to be the easiest to see. Like if you look at this channel strip, there's a lot of small dials there that even on my 11-inch iPad, I can't see that well. So there's a couple of things just to keep in mind. It's not perfect. And if I'm just using EQ, and I've said this before, I'll still just use LRC5. I'm not going to come in here to MixBox and load up an EQ if I just need to, say, adjust some EQ and drop a few frequencies. So keep that in mind there, but definitely do check it out. IK Multimedia are cool people. They, like I said, when we last did the live demo here, they came along. They actually had one of their techs that came and was here live and was answering questions. And yeah, they're good people. They create good products, and they're a wonderful company to work with. And I don't have to say that. And they're not actually a sponsor of the channel. They have provided me with some gear and with some plugins for free in the past. So full disclosure on that one. But yeah, they're not currently a sponsor of the channel. If they'd like to, RK Multimedia. Hands up who'd like to hear GarageBand Weekly sponsored by RK Multimedia. I would. Let's see what we're up to, because I think we're a little behind on time. Who would have thought that I would go over time? It never happens that way, does it? All right, we'll check where we're up to. Tip of the week. Yes. So the tip of the week. I'm going to go back to the other project that we're working on to use this, because the tip of the week this week is actually based on a question that I got from someone. So I'm going to come in here. So this one's the one that's got the reverb plugin on it. So what we're going to do, I'll come back here. Oh, oh. Yeah, girl. Okay. Yeah, girl version 72. If you're new to the channel, you're like, what is he talking about? Every time I do any sort of funky demo song, for whatever reason, the lyrics always end up being, yeah, girl. And we haven't quite worked out why. It's some sort of repressed memory from my past. So let's jump into this one. So our tip of the week this week. This one came from a question from an actual viewer of the channel, and they asked that why is it that when I set a plugin like the AU Reverb 2 here in GarageBand, when I export my song, the plugin goes away? Well, that can sometimes happen, whether it's a plugin that's an Apple plugin or whether it's a third-party plugin. Sometimes when you save your plugin settings here, you come out and then you export your song, those plugin settings will go away and you won't hear that. And if it's something like a reverb, you really want to hear it. Now, yes, hopefully that can be fixed, and maybe the glitch like that might be fixed with a version update. So first thing to do is make sure you're updated to the latest version of GarageBand, latest version of the plugin, latest version of iOS on your device. But if you've done all those things, there's a little bit of a workaround. Like most things in life and most things in GarageBand, there's a hack. And the hack is the merge button. So let's really accentuate this guitar, shall we? So we've got this guitar, this electric guitar here, and it's got some reverb on it. And guess what? We were going so well. I was about to compliment Reflector on the fact that it hadn't fallen over. But I think Reflector actually has a 1 hour limit for some reason. Because if you've been watching the show for a while, you notice that it's usually when I get to this point that we lose visibility of the iPad screen. And I have to reshare it. So I really must log a ticket with Reflector because it's a pain in the backside. Because I need to do that, and then I need to plug my audio interface back in, and then we need to get started again. So bear with me a moment, because these are questions coming in. We will answer any final questions after we finish this tip, but we'll get back to it. So let's just pretend that nothing ever happened, and we'll hit the play button again. Cool, so we've got some reverb on there, but let's just turn it up. Let's make it like 100% wet. Or maybe 80. Now, we wouldn't have it up that high ordinarily, but I wanted you to actually really hear the effect come on here. So there's our guitar. If we bring it in with the rest of our tracks. Cool. So if we exported this and we found that that reverb was gone because this plugin wasn't working, then what we can actually do is merge this one down to its own track. So if we tap on the icon there, now don't tap out here in the waveform. Your merge option's not out here. This is your wave options. You want your track options. So tap your track icon and hit merge. What merge does is it grabs everything in that track or a number of tracks and merges it down to a basic audio file. So what it does is it grabs all the plugins, it grabs all the settings, all the EQ, everything that you've added to that track and merges it to a clean stereo audio track. And this is handy for this exact purpose. So we'll hit the merge button in the top right corner. What GarageBand does is creates a backup copy of your project, and then we'll add that to your new one. Now, the first thing you'll see there is that it's made it very loud. So the first thing you need to do is turn that sucker down, because GarageBand by default will actually normalize the volume. So it shouldn't affect the quality, but it will make it much, much louder. So if we turn that one all the way down and we solo this, let's play this guitar track, shall we? There it is. It's right there. Now let's just undo that, because the other thing that I'd probably suggest you do before you do this is actually duplicate out so you can keep your original track. So this is sort of the advanced method here in case you want to make some changes afterwards. So tap on your original track, again, right on the track icon, hit duplicate, and then grab all of your audio. So tap that one again, copy it, go to your new track, tap out in this blank space and hit paste. That's going to create 2 copies of the exact same track. What you can then do is mute out the original one and merge down your new track. So we'll do the exact same thing. We'll merge this one. We'll hit the merge button. It's going to bake in all the effects and processing on that track. It's going to create a brand new audio recorder track. We're going to turn it down, and there you go. We've got this one for our track now. And if we don't like that, we want to go back to the original one, we can mute that one out and come back to our original track. And then you can come in here and rename these and label them old and merged. So this is a cool tip. And it's also really cool if you're using a plugin and you're sharing with someone who doesn't have that plugin. So let's just say that you have a cool plugin. We'll use the MixBox CS here from IK Multimedia. So if we scroll on down, we'll throw the MixBox on here and say that we wanted to put some cool flange effect on here. So let's come in here. We'll go to our modulation and to our flanger, and we're going to do some cool flange work. Very cool flange sound there. So we've got that on our guitar there. But if we want to share this project with someone and they don't have MixBox, well, they're going to be SOL, which as we know means sort of out of luck. So we can do the exact same thing again. So here's the original sound with the flanger. Let's do our merge trick again. Tap it, hit the merge button. It's going to ask us which tracks we want to merge. We're going to just merge that one electric guitar track. It's going to go away and do its magic processing thing. It's going to normalize your track. Taking a little longer this time because it's having to add that additional effect. And this is actually a good way not only to do this if you want to share the track, but what if you want to reduce down the processing on your track? Once you're happy with the effects, you can actually merge to burn in those effects so you don't have to run that anymore. So if we, as you see here, we didn't make a backup copy this time. So if we just wanted to use this track, you can see here it's not running any effects anymore. So this is going to help the processing. If you've got an older iPad and you're finding that it's running slowly, you can actually do this to burn in those effects. Of course, it means you can't change them. You have to go back to it, but it gives you this option. So if we play this now. So that's all baked into that track. We can't change anything on there. That's why you want the backup version, but it's not having to process that in real time. It's just playing that as a standard stereo audio recorder track here in GarageBand. So there you go. If you're finding that your tracks are not exporting with the effects that you think they should be, hit the merge button, merge them down. And it also works really well if you're sharing with others who don't have the same plugins as you do. Hopefully that helps you out. And like I said, thank you to the user. I've forgotten your name and I apologize. But yeah, that all came from a question directly from a user that asked. They're using that exact plugin, the Reverb 2. So that's why I thought I would use it. Sometimes you just find that. Sometimes an AU plugin will just quit. Sometimes it'll tell you, it'll say this plugin has quit, and it'll just export it without that. Sometimes it won't tell you at all. Really the only foolproof way that I've found to work around it is what we just did then, and it works pretty well. Asa says, at least I haven't got optimizing performance for years. Yeah, neither have I. Since I moved to the iPad Pro, I haven't seen optimized performance. Hello, Guzzo. Thanks for dropping on by, my friend. Yeah, catch up on the replay if you need to. Have you had some fun here today? I hope so. Hit that thumbs up button if you have, because it does help me out. And you know what? If you hit the thumbs down button, apparently soon it won't matter because it won't go. It won't show. But no, the thing is, I'll rant really quickly about this before we finish up here today. But the whole thumbs up, thumbs down system was really originally designed as a way to tune the engine to play videos to you that you're going to like. So when you thumbs up a video or thumbs down it, think about the old TiVo. Like TiVo, you did that. You're like, oh, thumbs up. Oh, it's the Community. Oh, it's Arrested Development. I'm going to thumbs up that stuff. So it's going to know that I like cool comedy shows. And then it's like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. You're going to thumbs that down. Not because you have any hate towards the Kardashians. You probably do. But because you don't want that to recommend it to you again. So really, we've kind of lost the meaning of that. People have taken plus like thumbs up, thumbs down, more of the social media side of things, which is I like it, I don't like it, and I want you to know about it, and less about that. Now, what you probably not aware of, or maybe you are, but YouTube actually has built-in tools for you to actually play around and tell it what you're not interested in. So if you go to the homepage of YouTube, I keep going to the wrong thing here. I'm trying to bring up my, oh, there it is. So if you come in here, not to that one, but if we just go to youtube.com, let's just go youtube.com, and we're going to come in here and we're going to watch some YouTube videos. You can actually train YouTube to know what you like and don't like. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go, oh, Metalhead Hippie Show. Cool, I like this. So I'm going to go save to watch later. That's going to tell YouTube to make sure they keep recommending that. If I save it, if I like it, if I set a reminder, if I add it to my like stuff, then it's going to tell me that. If I come down, see, I like all these. I like Tom Scott. I like The Fray. I won't actually do it, but let's just say that Ron Reddy's premiering now. Oh no, sorry, Ron. Sorry, Ron. I'm running late. I'm running into your I forgot that you're premiering right now. Go and watch that straight after this one, folks. I'll finish up in a sec. But if I was not interested in that, I can actually come in here and say not interested. And that way it will tell the YouTube recommendation engine that I'm not interested or don't recommend this channel. Now, don't do either of those things. In fact, you want to like Ron. Let's just go see what Ron's doing over there. There he is. Are you Ron ready? Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna let us go so that we can all jump over and watch Ron's premiere over there. In fact, let me grab this one. I'll copy this and I'll bring it over and throw it into the comments here. And you can join me. Come over and watch Ron do his thing. So that is going to do it for this episode of Your Music. No, that's the wrong one, of GarageBand Weekly. Don't forget that if you are new to GarageBand and you want to support the channel, but also get some cool information, the GarageBand Users Beginners Guide is over there. You can go to studiolivetoday.com/courses or check the link down in the description if you want to check that one out. And if you want a cool Studio Live Today t-shirt like the one that I'm wearing here, studiolivetoday.com/merch is where you can go to check that one out, because I've just got myself a brand new fresh one. It told me this is navy blue. This is the blackest navy blue that I've ever seen, and you can't really see it in the light here, but it is the darkest navy. It just qualifies as blue. All right, thanks everyone for being here. As we say at the end of every show, please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.